Anil, do you know how entrepreneurship can create a huge impact in a nation?
No. Divya ma'am, how can entrepreneurship ever can make any impact on a nation?
Let me tell you how. First of all, entrepreneurship can create goods and services on both national and local scale. Entrepreneurship creates jobs everywhere. For this reason, the contribution of entrepreneurship just cannot be measured in purely monetary terms. Entrepreneurship creates a product or service of notable worth, while at the same time it builds a substantial customer base. The benefits of entrepreneurship actually span economy and society, leading both to prosperity. Entrepreneurship also helps the local economy. The success of entrepreneurship in the local market creates a vibrant economy. This itself creates wealth as well as jobs for the local population. For the nation, entrepreneurship helps the national economy scale for the government, which is taxation. Entrepreneurship can create a product or service that adds value to the lives of its users. Innovation at the base level of business can push a market forwards on domestic and overseas. This can only be done by vibrant entrepreneurship. So, one can say that entrepreneurship is a key driver of economic growth. Many industries and economy are at ale at times. So, by risk-taking entrepreneurship, it can rejuvenate ailing industries and economy. It can also spur governments to create an effective economic and legal framework. Successful entrepreneurialism often requires the skills and labor of many people. As a thriving business grows, so do the opportunities for others, and the cumulative impact of new startups in a particular geographical area will go a long way towards creating new employment opportunities.
Can entrepreneurship help in creating value in the socio-economic front, ma'am?
Sure, Anil. Let me tell you more. Entrepreneurship leads to high growth of economy in the local level. This, by itself, creates a value system in the local economy. This value system from lot of local economies helps in the culmination of a value system for the entire nation. Next, entrepreneurship helps in the growth of small business. This leads to more job opportunities in the local level. The success of entrepreneurship often results in social entrepreneurship, as more and more people became interested in setting up their own business. This creates a long-term impact on society. Let us now discuss about negotiation and persuasion.
Negotiation and persuasion, are they not the same thing, ma'am?
Well, no. Negotiation and persuasion are two different factors actually. Let me explain both of them to you. Negotiating is the ability to discuss and reach a mutually satisfactory agreement. For example, you arrive at an intersection with 3 other cars. How do you decide the order of the other cars to go through the intersection? This is where negotiation comes in. Everybody mutually negotiates who goes first. Persuading is the ability to convince others to take appropriate action. An example of persuade is when you make a strong argument for why your idea is right, and your argument convinces your boss or other members in your organization to implement your idea. There are actually 2 types of negotiation: distributive and integrative. Distributive negotiations can be thought of as disputes over a fixed pie. Negotiating to divide some limited resource. You win, I lose, and vice versa. Integrated negotiations can be assumed as a dispute where there is an expanding the pie argument. Integrative negotiating helps to expand resources so that everyone wins from the outcome that is achieved through the negotiations. Integrative negotiations are based on a win-win perspective, where there is a benefit for everybody in the negotiations. Now, what are the key elements of entrepreneurial negotiations? The key elements of entrepreneurial negotiations are creating value, building trust, dealing with emotions and perceptions, and at the same time protecting long-term relationships. Let's discuss how each of these factors helps in entrepreneurship. First of all, distinguish between interests and positions. Always participate in negotiation simulation. It will help to diagnose your strengths and weaknesses. After that, learn the steps involved in creating value. Develop a personal theory of practice with regard to the elements of entrepreneurial negotiations. Before you can create trust, first diagnose personal strengths and weaknesses to improve negotiating skills. Use objective standards to build trust. This will help you to build trust in entrepreneurial negotiations. Learn how contingent agreements can be used to reduce uncertainty. Review the psychological dimensions of entrepreneurial negotiations. Know when to walk away from a deal which may not be beneficial to you. Learn to calculate the worth of competing offers so that you don't stand a chance to lose. While winning at win-win negotiation, learn the essentials of win-win negotiation. Understand the dynamics of venture capital investing.
Ma'am, is there a process from which we can learn how to negotiate?
Why, yes, there is a process from which we can learn the art of negotiations. Let me tell you more about this process. Before you negotiate, first research the other side or the other party and what exactly they wish for. At the same time, understand your BATNA, which means best alternative to a negotiated agreement. This by itself means the walkaway position, by which you can leave the negotiation table without any loss. Always try to assess true issues in negotiations and not superficial. Determine important issues first. Pre-think solutions to dead ends, exchanges, and prepare end goal statement. While in the negotiations room, try to build rapport like emotional, posture, tone, and key goal. Then try to understand their BATNA. Identify the needs of other party like what is essential, what is important and desirable. Compare the two to understand what is shared, what is independent, and what is conflicting among everybody. Let me cite you an important quotation about innovation from Peter Drucker, a management consultant from America. Drucker in 1985 has said that innovation is the specific tool of entrepreneurship, the means by which they exploit change as an opportunity for different business or a different service. It is capable of being presented as a discipline, capable of being learned, capable of being practiced. Entrepreneurs need to search purposefully for the sources of innovation, the changes, and they need to know and to apply the principles of successful innovation. Many would ask why we should practice innovation. Well, innovation helps to develop the ability to regularly produce new and or innovative products or services for personal and societal gain. Innovation helps to create a sustainable business with innovative products and services. Innovation helps to acquire the speed and agility that are needed to exploit new concepts, approaches, and practices to achieve market advantage.
Ma'am, can you tell me about some specific methods which successful entrepreneurs practices?
Sure, Anil. There are some specific practices for all entrepreneurs. Let me tell you about these practices. First of all, how can we develop ecosystems inside organization to promote entrepreneurial activities? How can we make entrepreneurship a mainstream subject rather than sequestered activity? The answer lies in building a vibrant core ecosystem. Entrepreneurial leaders develop entrepreneurial ecosystems inside organizations to promote entrepreneurial activity as a mainstream strategic activity. Entrepreneurial leaders influence others to think individually and differently. They inspire others to embrace extreme uncertainty. Organizations are not entrepreneurial by itself, as all organizations are made by people. The people in the organizations can be entrepreneurial. Organizations don't create people. People create organizations. This means organizations don't fail. People fail. Organizations do grow, but not without the ingenuity, creativity, resourcefulness, action, and leadership of the people inside. To make an organization successful, you need to join a tribe. It is because entrepreneurs need membership in physical communities where ideas can be shared and shaped. Obtaining membership into entrepreneurial communities can develop social capital resulting in enhanced reputation, creation of trust, development of currency and ability to leverage networks. Though there are ample tribes for entrepreneurship on the outside, the need is just as strong yet lacking on the inside in most cases. Successful entrepreneurs borrow a term from interaction design. Then they exhibit this term as a communication technique called progressive disclosure. Entrepreneurs sequence information and actions across several groups by starting with only a small subset of essential people and then spanning out across their broader networks. Outside entrepreneurs progressively disclose to get early validation of their idea, while entrepreneurs inside use progressive disclosure to build consensus and get access to organization resources and talent. To be successful as an entrepreneur, you will require iteration and experimentation. However, you should be aware that the language used to describe this aspect is centered on the concept of failure. Failure in the sense of setbacks, false starts, wrong turns, and mistakes. Iteration is a cyclic process of prototyping, testing, analyzing, and refinement. Building knowledge through experimentation with a goal towards learning and shaping rather than killing and burying the idea or project. Entrepreneuring framed as failure is scary and often leads to inaction. Framed as intentional iteration, it creates a mindset that is prepared for and expects multiple learning moments. Entrepreneurs outside the organization consider financial loss as the biggest risk. But entrepreneurs inside can be paralyzed by a fear of losing their well-earned social capital and social reputation. Remember, it takes a lot of hard work to build a social reputation. Entrepreneurs inside and out manage potential loss in various ways from working on multiple opportunities at one time to identifying spaces of permission inside to work on the idea. A careful entrepreneur considers what's at stake overall. Sometimes the acceptable loss can inspire a different type of calculation, which is calculating what you are willing to lose to take a step forward. Past educational experiences and even corporate experiences hinder rather than encourage entrepreneuring. Unlearning habits from previous experiences is necessary, especially when these habits conflict with the experimental and iterative nature experienced by most entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs outside tend to do first and then learn from that doing, while those on the inside have to worry about being held hostage by organization history. Now, do you understand what are basic necessities of being a successful entrepreneur, Anil?
Yes, Divya ma'am. This was indeed a very beautiful passage of entrepreneurship practices that you have explained. I have now learned so many new things. Thanks.
You are most welcome, Anil.